there, this is Miss Caitlin from Phoebo Kids Art Academy, and welcome back to another amazing art class. Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to create a fall gift box. So let's go ahead and take a look at the supplies that you are going to need. All right, so check it out. You're going to first need, of course, a small box. Mine is actually not that big at all. You can see it's quite thin. You're also going to need some fall colored paper. Now, this can either just be completely brown paper, butcher paper, whatever you've got. But I today have these different kind of fall colored papers like yellow, dark red, brown, sort of an olive green, and an orange. You're also going to need some twine. Now, I have two colors here just to kind of show you some of the options that are out there. We have like this regular twine, and there's also this like orange twine, again, very fall themed. I'm gonna be sticking with this one for the project today, but you could use any kind of twine that you come around. As well, you're going to need a pencil and eraser because we are going to be drawing some leaves to stick onto our box today. As well, you're going to need a black material of some kind. Now for this, I recommend a Sharpie because it's black, it's permanent, it's easy. But you could also use different fall colored metallic markers. So I have some different fall colored Sharpies here. I have like this bronze one. I also have a silver one. Now you could also use a white material to draw onto our leaves today. You could use a white Posca pen, that's kind of like an acrylic marker. You could even use whiteout, really whatever you've got. And of course you're going to need scissors and tape. Now you are additionally going to need, at the very end, we are going to need some wrapping paper. Now my box happens to be the same color as this wrapping paper, but maybe your box isn't. We want the wrapping paper to be this kind of brown color. That way it just kind of looks a little bit more fall themed, and it will help the leaves that we create stand out because they're kind of going to be these really intricate little decorations we put around. You'll see what I mean in a moment. All right, let's go ahead and get ready to create this project. So I'm gonna go ahead and set some stuff off to the side, and we can go ahead and dive right into our work. So what I first want us to do is I don't even want us to worry about the box just yet. I want us to practice drawing on some leaves. Now, there are lots of different ways to draw leaves, as there are many different leaves and trees out there in the world. In fact, if you have a leaf or a tree that has really interesting leaves, you could even go outside, you could pause the video, go outside, and go inspect some of those now and bring them back and even use them for this project. Now what we're going to do is we're actually just going to dive right into drawing out some leaves that we want to put onto our box. I'm going to show you a couple different leaf shapes, and you can draw them onto your piece of paper that you want to have the leaves on. We are going to be cutting these leaves out from our paper, so just make sure that whatever paper you do decide to use, pick one that is going to be your favorite. I'm going to do a couple different ones here. I think I'm going to show you all on the yellow piece. It's kind of like this almost fall yellow. It's not completely bright. It's not so dark either. Now I want you to use a pencil for this, but I am going to be using a Sharpie just so that you can see. I do want you to use a pencil, that way you won't see any of your pencil lines when you cut these leaves out, and that way you can just have them around a little bit easier. You won't tell what side that you were drawing on, but for me, it's going to be very easy to tell. All right. Also, at any point during this video, if you just need to pause to just kind of, double check what you're doing and just feel comfortable going at your own pace, please feel free to do so. There's no worries there. All right, so I'm going to show you how to draw a couple different kinds of leaves. I also have some example ones off to the side in different colors for later. Now let's go ahead and draw a basic leaf that we might know. So to draw a leaf, we know it's kind of like a football shape. So we can draw a curved line down and a curved line down. So that's one way to draw a leaf. We don't need to add any details on the inside of it just yet. You could also draw a leaf with a stem. So maybe you draw that football shape, and then you add 2 lines down and connect. So now we have a leaf with a stem. Now, of course, there are other different kinds of leaves that aren't just shaped this way out there in nature. Some leaves, they're more slim towards the top and they get more round towards the bottom. I'll show you what I mean. Let's give this a try. So somewhere on your paper, let's draw a big curved line down. Go back to the top of that line, draw another big curved line down. And then you can connect with a U shape. Let's also go ahead and draw a stem for this leaf. Make sure it's nice and big, because remember, we're going to have to cut that out later, and we don't want it to be so small it'll be tricky to do so. So that's another kind of leaf. We could even make this leaf to be much, much smaller. There are some leaves like this out in nature too, where it's a really long line down and another long line down. And you can connect and draw a stem. All right, so those are different kinds of really basic leaf shapes, but now let's get into some fancy ones. Now you could either choose to, at this point, draw onto another piece of paper, whether it be a fall colored paper, or if you're just using one color today, you could just keep drawing onto the same piece that we're doing right now. Now, because I want some variety with mine, I am going to pick out another piece of paper. I'm going to pick out the red. But again, you do not have to do this if you just want to have all of your leaves be the same color. All right, so now I'm going to show you some more intricate leaves. The first one is we are going to draw a leaf that kind of has these curves on the side. Let me show you one that I've actually cut out here. So we're kind of going for this very slim leaf shape where it has all these little curves onto the side. So to do this, I actually want us to start with the stem. So go somewhere on your paper and draw a stem. And then I want you to draw curved line up, curved line up, curved line up. Now you can decide how tall you want this leaf to be and how big those curved lines are. Every tree, like I said, every leaf is different. But that's kind of the shape that we're going for. So you could even do some of these very small. You don't have to have all of them big. You could draw 2 lines for your stem and connect. And you could make a small version of this. Maybe it's just a baby leaf that fell off from a tree. Now there's another leaf shape that I'm going to show you. And it's one of these sort of maple leaf shapes. I'll make it really easy on us today. Now typically maple leaves, they're a little bit more pointed, but I find for our project today, leaves are very organically shaped, and oftentimes when they fall to the ground and they get stepped on a little bit, their shape sometimes changes. So let's go ahead and practice this leaf here. Go ahead and start with a stem. And then we're going to try and do one part of this leaf on this side. So you can see there are kind of 3 main parts. If you want to make it a little easier on yourself, if this is going to be a little tricky, what you can do is you can draw curved line out, curved line out, curved line in, curved line in, curved line up, curved line up. Now that in itself is another leaf shape, but we want this to be more like a maple leaf or one of these more kind of intricate leaf shapes. So you can take your pencil and you can draw curved lines all the way around the leaf that we've created here. Now because you've done this in pencil, when you go to cut this out, you're not really going to see these lines, but I've done mine in Sharpie, so you're definitely going to see them. So with your pencil, you could even erase those basic shapes. So that way you're just left with those curved lines all around. Now you could continue doing this for a while. I actually have a bunch of leaves that I cut out from all different shapes and sizes. I'll go ahead and show some of them to you. Check it out. I spent a lot of time cutting out lots and lots of leaves, lots of different sizes. So maybe pause the video, take some time to just draw all the different kinds of leaves that we learned. You can do different sizes, you can make them small, big, you can even do some different shapes, or you could just take leaves from a tree that is interesting in your backyard. All right, now if you are ready to continue, we are going to go ahead and start cutting out the leaf shapes that we have. So I have the red leaves and I have some yellow leaves today. Again, yours might be different, but I'm going to go ahead and start cutting mine out of the paper. No need to Sharpie or anything like that right now. I'm going to just cut off any extra, set that off to the side. I'm going to keep that because it's kind of a big piece. Maybe I'll use it for another project later. Or you could use it to make more of these fall gift boxes. Now, as we're cutting out our leaves, I'm sure maybe you might already have a gift in mind that you want to put inside your box. But if you're not sure, maybe let's spend some time to think about who we're going to give this gift to and what we're going to give them. So let's see. Well, it's almost Thanksgiving, or it's very close to it being Thanksgiving, and a lot of holidays where it's time for gift giving in general. So maybe we might want to give this to a family member. Maybe we want to give it to a friend that we haven't seen in a while. Maybe we want to give it to one of our siblings if we have one. Now, I can't imagine you would be able to really give this box to a pet like a dog. I don't think they'd really know what to do with it. But I'm sure they would appreciate it if you gave them a gift all the same of like a new toy. Now, what are some things we could give a family member or a friend? Maybe we could give them some artwork that just reminds us of them, or we could create a piece for them and frame it and put it in the box. I think they would really like that. You could even spend time to create your very own book, maybe about how important they are in your life. That would be very sweet. All right, so I've got these leaves all cut out. I'm gonna go ahead and just set them up here. These will be my little leaf pile. And then I'll go ahead and cut these ones out. I'm gonna go ahead and also cut off this extra red paper I've got here. And then I'll go ahead and I will probably start with this really big leaf I've got. And just kind of carefully making my way around. Now with these more intricate leaves, especially if you're cutting them, just be patient with yourself. And remember, even if you accidentally, cut into something that you didn't mean to, leaves in real life are not perfect, especially when they're falling down from the trees in autumn. So even if you accidentally, just cut into something you didn't mean to, I promise you, nobody will be able to tell. It'll all look pretty natural. All right, so we're working our way around here. See, I just cut a little bit more of that part off there, but it's okay. So again, no leaf is perfect, and it's still gonna look like a really cute looking leaf here once it's all cut out. Now I find as I get close to the stem, kind of switch positions, and then I'll cut off the paper from there. I'll go ahead and work on these ones. All right. Now for these leaves, we are going to put decorations on them. We're going to use our either Sharpie or a black marker or some kind of black material to draw on some designs, and that will make them more interesting. You could choose to leave these blank, I suppose, but they will look far more interesting when placed on our gift box if they have some patterns on them, because they're kind of going to be like this focal point, star of a show. Okay, there's another leaf. Okay, last leaf. Of course, we made a very complicated one here. Again, I'm just cutting off any extra paper, setting that off to the side, and I will carefully work my way around. Now, of course, I came prepared for our recording today, where I have a bunch of leaves off to the side here that I'm going to use to show you. So again, if you need to take the time to cut even more leaves because you wanted way more than the ones we just have here, please feel free to just, pause the video, do your thing, and cut out more and create more. Another thing you could do that I think is really fun is what you could do instead of necessarily decorating all these leaves is that on the backs of them, you could say or write really nice things so that when you give it to the person you want to give the gift, the recipient, you basically flood them with all these really lovely messages. In fact, that could be the gift itself. That would be kind of funny. You give them a box decorated with leaves, and on the inside are like more leaves, but with positive messages. It reminds me of those paper star jars, if anybody's ever heard of those. Where you make paper stars, and on the inside of the paper you write like really nice things like, "You're wonderful," or "You really make me smile." All right, so I've got these leaves all cut out. Again, I have extra leaves off to the side here that I've prepared for us. So if you need extra time to cut out more, please feel free to do so. All right, so again, I have like this giant leaf pile. It almost feels like I have a leaf pile in real life here, as if I really was going around and collecting leaves off the ground. All right, just gonna go ahead and pick some more of these up. Okay, so now let's just have our leaves off to the side, and we're gonna go ahead and start decorating some of them. Now, again, you could use metallic markers, you could use Sharpie, or a white acrylic paint marker, or even whiteout pen. Now, just be aware for if you are going to be using pencil for any of these parts, especially if you're using the pencil on a real leaf, it's probably not going to show up as much. Now, pencil on the paper will show up pretty good if you're using like a white color pencil or a dark color pencil, depending on how light or dark your paper is. But on a real leaf, pencil's probably not going to do you too well. So I recommend definitely using at least some kind of marker or permanent marker of some kind, okay? I'm going to start with my Sharpie first, and I'm just going to add some decorations to my leaves. Now, you could add any kinds of decorations you want. You could do polka dots. You could add polka dots inside the polka dots. You could add dotted lines around them, or maybe just some of them, and just have a lot of fun making really interesting, natural looking patterns. It's like there's a leaf, let's find another big leaf. You could draw like the stem of the leaf if you had a paper leaf like me, and you could draw out the different lines of the veins of the leaf. And then maybe on the insides, you add even more patterns. So this is just one way to decorate, right? And then you could add like different shapes. So you can get pretty detailed with what you want to add as far as the designs go. Do try and stick to just maybe one color per leaf. So on this leaf I did black. Maybe I'll do some more of these little dots up here. But maybe on my next leaf, I want to do silver. Now I know this silver marker is going to show up really well on a dark colored leaf. So I have this dark red, and so I can go ahead and start decorating it like this. You can see how brightly that shows up. It's almost as bright as if I was using a white material. So again, just have a lot of fun. This is a pretty relaxing craft and art project here. Not a lot of stress, just having fun decorating some leaves. I think I might do sort of like a geometric pattern on this side here. Maybe squares? Yeah, that looks like fun. Let's do that. There we go. And then just keep on doing this for as many leaves as you like. Now I'm going to do this for a few leaves because we're going to have to stick a bunch of them onto our gift box in just a second here. You could again also write things onto the leaves if you'd like. You could write happy fall. If you're celebrating something this fall, you could even write something on your leaves for that. Whatever the case, let's just try and see how many leaves you can get decorated. Now, I'm not going to make my way through this entire pile. I know that already. And that's actually not going to be a problem. But if you really want to spend the time decorating all these leaves and writing things onto them, please feel free to do so. But for the sake of time, I won't do every single leaf in this pile. Again, you can have a lot of fun using different kinds of markers. I recommend, again, trying to stick to at least 2, but I know how fun it can be using all the different shining markers. So I'm showing you just a couple of different ways or a couple different looks that you can get for the leaves. Let's see. Let's do one more green. We don't really have a lot of green leaves in here that I've done so far. Let's see how this bronze marker shows up here. That's pretty dark. I don't think you can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to the silver one. There we go, much better. And we'll do little triangles since the leaves are so spiky for this one. Right, and then maybe one more. Let's do one more yellow leaf. Let's do this long one. We'll do another, no, I like having the 2 as the black here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do this one also in the silver or white. And that's kind of the good thing about having so many leaves is if you accidentally, make a design or a pattern you don't like on one, you can just pick out another leaf. Okay, so I think I've got a good amount of leaves here. I'm kind of looking at how many different sizes I have. So I have like 2 really big ones, I've got a medium one, I've got a couple of thin ones. Maybe I might do one more kind of medium-sized leaf just so I have a good balance of different kinds here. I could do another long skinny leaf. Maybe, let's see, what else do I got in here? I could do another one of these. It's also red. I could do another skinny leaf. I could do a regular one. Thinking it might need to be a red leaf for sure. So let's see, let's decide. I'm looking at my different leaf shapes. I do want a good variety. I want a good kind of mix of different kinds. I've already got a leaf that looks like this, and that's the yellow leaf, but I don't really have a leaf that looks exactly like this, so I think I'm going to use this leaf. And then I'll just add in my designs that I like onto here. I'm doing almost like an oval design on this leaf. So I've got all my leaves, I have the ones that I want to use. I'm going to set my markers off to the side, and any extra leaves that you have hanging around, again, maybe you can use those kind of to decorate the inside of your gift. You can kind of spread them around on the inside, you can write nice things on them and give them to friends or family. Now let's take our leaves that we're going to use, let's just gather them all up. And we're going to set these also off to the side, just where we can kind of keep an eye on them. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and get our box, our wrapping paper, and our twine ready. So again, my box is the same color as my wrapping paper, so I could, put whatever gift I want inside and then, put those extra leaves in here, close it up, and then I could really tightly just wrap the twine around. That could work, but I do want to show you guys kind of how to wrap a box of this size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my wrapping paper. I already have my wrapping paper cut for this box, so you might need to get a parent's help for that. They might have a lot of experience with helping you wrap these, especially for your birthday. They probably have to wrap the gifts, right? So what do you want to make sure you have as far as wrapping a gift? is you want to make sure whatever wrapping paper you have is going to overlap the top here so that you have this kind of perfect seam. Now I'm looking at my gift right now and I think, okay, that'll be perfect. You also don't want, I'll try and show you this way, you also want to make sure that you're going to have enough room on the sides. So I have about, this is maybe about 2 inches on either side of this box. Now that again depends on your size of the box, how tall it is. I know for mine, this is going to be perfect to have about an extra 2 inches on the side. Okay. You're also going to need your tape nearby because we have to tape this up, of course. Now, another thing, for your gift, you don't want the seam where we're going to wrap the paper like this, right? You don't want that on the top of your gift. You usually want that kind of on the bottom so that the person who's receiving it doesn't see that part. So what I want us to do right now is very carefully, once you have your gift inside, you're going to flip your box over. You can see the little tag on it. And then we will begin wrapping it. So try and keep that as even as possible. And then you can take some tape and just tape the seam here where those 2 papers overlap. Now this part can sometimes be a little tricky. I know for me, wrapping gifts can sometimes be nearly impossible. I used to not be very good at it for a while, but I've had lots of practice, so it's made sure that I've been able to get better at it. Now, I like to use 2 pieces of tape for both ends of the box here. Sometimes if I'm feeling like, I don't know if that tape is gonna really work for me, I might also do one in the middle, but that's a little much. You usually don't really need to do that. All right, so now what you're gonna do after you have that all taped down, you're gonna hold your box very carefully, just gently pull a little bit on this, so that way you don't have any extra slack of the wrapping paper on this side. Firmly pull it over, hold it down, and you're going to tape this edge right here. Now, if you have double-sided sticky tape, you could put the tape underneath. But if you don't have double-sided tape, you will have to put the tape on top. Now for that, again, you might want to have some clear Scotch tape or something of that nature. Okay. So once you have that, should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and just turn it this way so you can see. That's all taped down, all nice and even. Now what we're going to do is we are going to fold the edges. Now, there's no good way for me to have the whole present right here in the screen, so you are going to just see a little bit of that cut off just so that I can really show you how to do this next part here. So now at the end of your gift, you have this kind of space where there's it's obviously open. We don't want that to be like that forever. So what you're going to do is you're going to carefully fold that down. And what you want to happen, and this is usually the part that's difficult for me too, so just try your best, is you kind of want to make little folds on the sides like this. So you're carefully kind of navigating the paper. My wrapping paper is a little bit on the thick side here, so it's going to require a little bit of just finagling on our part. So you're kind of folding that in like so. So again, you're kind of pushing down and folding all of that in so you get these little tiny flaps right here. Then what you're going to do, again, holding firm, you're going to take one flap. You're going to pull it in towards the gift. So that way you get almost like this new fold right here. Again, just try your best with making that as neat as you can. Again, so you had the flap right here and you're just kind of folding it in carefully. Usually I like to fold in that way. We'll do it one more time. Again, you're taking the little flap we have right here, very carefully, you're kind of pulling it in. If at any point you feel your paper start to tear, it might mean that we might need to try pulling or folding from a different angle. So just try your best with that, okay? All right. So if all is said and done correctly, you should end up with something that looks kind of like this at the end. So what we're going to do with this part is we are going to fold it up and then tape. Now sometimes this part might be a little bit long, and that's okay. You can just kind of fold over the top a little bit so it's not so big. Now I'm noticing my wrapping paper is kind of sticking up right there, so I'm just going to kind of hold that down. Get some tape at the ready. You're going to do this all in one go. You're going to pull that paper up. Again, I have double-sided tape, so I'm going to put my tape down first and then stick. But if you're not using double-sided sticky tape, you will have to tape right here. Again, this is what it would look like if you were just taping it normally. Again, very sticky. So that your side looks something kind of like, well, it's a little tricky to show you, but it looks something kind of like this. Okay? You're going to do that one more time on the other side. So again, you have 2 opportunities to try this out. So again, we're going to fold down, being very careful. We just want these little flaps onto the sides here. Again, no worries if this is your first time wrapping a gift. It is tricky, like I said. I used to be not as good at it, but with practice, I got much better. Okay, then you're going to take the 2 sides, fold them in, just being very careful. Just kind of look at your paper and kind of feel it. If it feels like it's going to rip, just kind of, you know, lay off the paper. No need to make it, to force it. And then we can go ahead and tape. Again, so if you're using double-sided tape, you could try and stick it here. And stick. But if you find that you're using regular tape, you'll take your regular tape and you'll stick it onto the side like so. Okay. So when you hold your gift back over, you have this really smooth surface that we can work with. Now, we're actually not going to need the tape anymore, so we can just set that off to the side. And now we're going to need our twine and our leaves. Starting with the twine, you can go ahead and grab quite a bit of this because we're going to be wrapping a lot of it around our gift. Okay. Now just be careful when you're grabbing all of this twine. You don't want it to get all tied in a knot. But I'm going to take probably that much and cut. This next part is pretty forgiving, so if you do end up needing more, you can always just cut off more. So what we're going to do now is we are going to wrap twine all around our gift. So you can take the twine and you can just start wrapping it all around. I want to leave maybe this much off to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe start on the bottom of the gift and just wrap it around here a bunch of times. And it's okay if it's not super tight right now. We're just trying to get the kind of look that we're going for going. Okay, so I like that for this part. So I can go ahead and take my twine. I'm going to pull it nice and tight. Just be careful, you might want to wiggle around a little bit. And I'll tie it into a bow. So again, just gonna tie a bow right here. I want it nice and strong. If you don't want a bow, you could always do a knot and cut off any extra twine. All right, so from here, if you want to adjust how much twine you have going on, you can kind of pull around a little bit. You can adjust where things are. So I think I want some of that to go up here. I have quite a big bunch of it on this side, so I'm going to definitely pull some of that around and up. I might just carefully move everything down. Again, nothing too fancy or extreme here, just trying to use some simple supplies to create something nice. All right, so that's one side. Let's do the other. So again, you can go ahead and grab your twine. Grab a whole bunch of it. And this is why I also showed you two. This also would look really good with that red twine that I showed you. But you are going to probably need a whole roll. At least one of these. Okay. And now I can go ahead and start wrapping onto the other side. So we kind of want there to be a lot of twine on the top and the bottom. You can see it naturally sort of starts to kind of want to spread out as you wrap it around, as you go towards the middle. So just have fun wrapping this all around your gift. Again, no worries if it's not super tight. You can always tighten it up as you kind of go. You can kind of pull the twine around. And I would try and concentrate it in mostly one spot. So I'm going to try and concentrate it mostly towards the bottom half of the gift again. Okay. All right, now I don't want another bow to compete with the bow I have at the top now. So I'm now going to take my twine. I'm going to make sure it's nice and tight. So I'm going to tighten up in some places now. Just going to pull on either end. And I am now going to take my twine, kind of move over to the side here, tie a nice little knot. Now if you want two bows, I'm not going to stop you, go for it. I think that's still fun. But for my gift, I only want the one bow. And then you can feel free to kind of shift around different twine and its placement. And you can cut any extra off as you see fit. There we go. This might be useful for something, so you can feel free to keep it or toss it. And now we arrive at our leaves. So now for the leaves, what you're going to do is you are just going to stick them in between the pieces of the twine that we have going here. So this way it seems like it's this really cute fall package that you're delivering to somebody. Now you want to kind of spread out your different leaves. You don't want them all grouped up in the same spot, and you don't want all of the same kind of leaf grouped up in the same spot especially. So try and see if you can kind of, spread out your leaves, place them in different places here. You could even stick some leaves onto the side. And this is again why we wanted lots of different sizes. So that way it looks interesting. I'm going to stick, I think, a red leaf kind of in between. Now try and see if you can weave some of the leaves in between the different pieces of twine. That's going to make them be a little bit more secure. So they're kind of stuck in there, not just kind of hanging out in between the different little parts of the package. Okay, I'm going to stick, I think, the little green leaf right there. And maybe we can stick some of these other leaves onto the sides. Again, I want to kind of make sure it's not just being stuck in there. I want to weave it in between. I can put another leaf over here, I think. Or I suppose I could put it also here or here. These leaves are kind of big, so I'm going to go ahead and also show you with some of those smaller leaves. You could stick like another red leaf onto the side. I'm sure you have way more leaves than I do. And having some leaves that are plain and some leaves that are decorated also kind of helps with just having a good grouping of contrast here, where it's like It's not just about making things light or dark with contrast. Sometimes it's about, showing off things with different size. It gives us a nice sense of contrast too. All right, so you could even stick like a little gift tag somewhere. You could write who it's from and who it's for at the top or in the middle. You can see we have this really adorable little fall package. So I hope you guys had fun. Remember, if you have any extra leaves, maybe you could write really nice things on them and stick them onto the package, because then not only is the gift on the inside, it's also kind of on the outside. So again, I hope you guys had fun. Please share your creations with us and maybe tell us, who did you share a fall gift with this season? I wish you guys the best of autumns, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye.